Hey guys, it's Kenz
and Shell.
Welcome back to the Effortless Podcast.
Today. We have some very exciting guests. It was kind of like an impromptu.
I know. I feel like in our last episode we said we were having. What are you doing? Oh, we said we were having a different guest. Mm-hmm. So jokes on you guys.
Surprise!
We are still gonna have the other guests we were talking about, yes. But these two little lovebirds happen to be in the area, so we're like, oh my gosh, let's do a relationship advice.
Yeah.
Well,
episode.
These little cuties have been married. I said you were going to introduce them, so go ahead.
If you could stop talking, that'd be great. So this is my little sister Carlie and her fabulous husband Cody. I almost said fiance. Oh, wow. Yeah. I stuttered a little bit. That was weird.
How does it feel being a part of the Kill Cup family?
I mean, it's an honor.
He took her name, so
I tried.
I'm
really
kidding.
tried.
I'm kidding. But it's going to be a super fun episode because we are going to get the newlywed perspective versus the vet.
10 years in.
10 years in.
Commentary.
Also,
I was going to say, I feel like we need to address this.
I did really try hard to get Greg on this episode, and he declined. He respectively declined. He said, "Nope, I will never be on the podcast." So it doesn't mean that he doesn't love me or that he doesn't have great advice.
Sounds like the marriage is going really good. I'm glad we're going to take advice.
Yeah, should we be asking you questions?
No, he just is like we will never hear or see Greg.
It's just not his thing.
It's not his thing.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's okay.
To each our own, or whatever the saying is. To each their own.
I didn't know that saying for the longest time. Teaches.
Well, you didn't know.
To teach his own. Or
to each
his own.
You still don't know it.
Teach his own? Doesn't sound like you've gotten it down yet.
She just learned foliage
a couple more years. You'll have it down.
Gosh. Teach.
I'm really just here to drink some wine and listen to the advice. So
perfect. So Carlie and Cody can give a little backstory on who they are, how long you've been married.
What's your marriage philosophy?
That's going to take a while.
Yeah. We have it written out. We should have brought it.
Are you being serious?
No.
Oh, I was like, geez, maybe they should be giving me the
we have it written on a scroll.
We read it. We recite it every morning.
Daily. That's so
like the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right. Right up there with it. So how long have you guys been married?
Today is the 27th. It'll be 7 months and 3 days.
Wow.
Time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun, they say.
Or in prison.
Have you been in prison
Just
before?
kidding. I love you. No.
Shelly and I have.
Yeah,
we have
for a job.
For work.
Okay. Yeah,
let's specify that.
Yeah.
What other questions do we have for them before we get started?
So you've been married for 7 years.
Months.
Not quite there yet.
You drink a lot of wine before this, too.
Apparently so.
7 months. Good Lord.
Good.
To each their own.
To teach his own. Just kidding. Let's give a quick story of how you guys met, because I feel like it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you want to tell it or do you want me?
It's kind of fun to hear.
I might jump in every once in a while.
Okay. Yeah. So, this is perfect. Carissa wanted me to give her a shout.
Who's Carissa?
So Carissa is my best friend.
Nobody on the podcast knows who your friends are. So you
I know. I was gonna say she told me if I came on the podcast and I didn't give her a shout out, she was gonna be really upset.
Oh, shoot.
So Chris is my childhood best friend.
Okay.
And she is dating. Well, at the time was dating a guy named Javi, and they went to Central. Mm-hmm. And Javi and Cody grew up together, and Chris and I grew up together, and they started dating while they were in college. And Cody and I had both been in other relationships for some time. And we both had recently broken up with our partners. Mm-hmm. And then...
That's how that works.
And then it was Javi's birthday party, and Carissa didn't want to be with just all the guys. So she was like, please come over to Javi's party. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. And then we get there, and... I feel like Javi and Carissa really had this
set up beforehand.
Oh, for sure.
Because they had they talked to you about Cody before?
Yeah, they had mentioned, they were like, oh, there's this one guy, he's pretty cool.
Big, sexy,
Big, sexy
kind of has it all.
He's got it going on.
He's not rich right now, but he
will be later.
Maybe.
There's a possibility.
Yeah. Worth making the investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so it was Javi's party, and then we get there, and they're like, oh, there's some cute guys here. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, but only Cody. And I was like, what? And they're like, no, go talk to Cody. And I was like, okay, I'll go talk to him.
And the rest is history.
Pretty much, yeah. They set us up.
My perspective was, I didn't even know that there was going to be girls at the
We didn't ask for your perspective, but let's hear it.
I felt like you needed it, though. I just thought it was going to be guys hanging out, so I wasn't dressed in my
and maybe some strippers that show up. Yeah,
I mean, maybe a cake, one or two, but
yeah.
So I wasn't dressed in my top-notch clothing as I would be if
you're wearing a
girls.
Western t-shirt.
I was and just like some cargo shorts, nothing crazy.
Yeah,
I wasn't showing too much, but
showing too much.
But then Carlie walked in and kind of Hobby pointed us to her. We played some games as partners, and
were you guys attracted to each other like at first sight?
Yeah,
I definitely noticed. She was.
Okay. And you even got her in the cargos.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't even on my top-notch game. I was probably.
But that's like the best.
6.
Like when Greg and I first started hanging out, we were scrub nation. Me and Shelly, like we would come into chemistry. No, we were.
we
would do our like lifting for PLU, literally, and then we would come in. That's when like those thick headbands were in. And we'd have our thick headbands with like our buns, no makeup, like our basketball. Like we were scrubs. We were like not sporty chic, sporty scrub. We were sporty scrub.
And we came athletes.
Athletes. Yeah, you're right.
You're athletes.
Athlete.
Don't sell yourself short.
And that's when Greg fell in love with me.
It's true.
So
and it was during COVID time too. So I was a little fatter, definitely in the cheek area. And so if I can get her when I'm fat, then I mean, I'm probably not going to lose her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Yeah, okay, great.
What has been your guys' like funnest part of marriage so far? Are you still in the honeymoon phase? Are you phasing out of it?
You'll be there forever. What do you think? Be honest, not just what the viewers want to hear.
Add some controversy.
What the fans want to hear.
I want the fans. They want the gossip.
No, I feel like it's still pretty new just because you kind of have to get out of that idea of we're just dating to, okay, now we're married, now we're actually family. There's a lot more that we're tied together with.
Right.
And so I feel like that's still kind of new and getting out of that mindset. We just did our first year of like planning. We did a little meeting to plan out
at the library.
At the library with a whiteboard.
He wanted a whiteboard.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
Planning what?
Just like this year together.
Like that's cute.
Personal goals we have for ourselves and then couple goals.
And like
wow,
financial
that's really
goals.
Great.
And yeah. Because this was like our first full year.
You and Greg went last week.
Yeah. I think maybe they should be giving us the marriage advice, to be honest. I'm not sure why.
I can't wait to see you and Greg at the library with the whiteboard.
Okay, for the record,
that's not us,
we
Shelley,
didn't use the
us.
whiteboard at all. Cody made us drive to the library to use the whiteboard, didn't use it once, and then at the end, he's like, I'm going to draw a football play.
So we did use it.
So that's the only
Just
reason.
not
You
for
guys
the
like
plan.
rent a room or you
we reserved a room.
Did anything happen in the room besides
No, there was a
planning?
glass
Was there
door,
any family
unfortunately.
planning happening? Active family planning?
Let's hope not.
Okay.
Is there any future, or how soon are we having future babies?
Well, we're just jumping into it.
Hopefully not soon. Down the road.
2, 5, 10, 15 years? How many?
Probably 5+ years. We're looking like
5, yeah, 5-ish.
early 30s.
Yeah.
I feel like marriage advice number 1 is really enjoy the first
No kid years.
It's great.
No, nobody should listen to me anything I say. That's
I
for
mean,
sure.
we had Nash after 2 years, which was great. I mean, I think it's either people have kids right away and then they're have their years with their spouse after the kids. Not, I mean, as though you obviously have them too, but some people I feel wait a little bit and really enjoy the time pre-kid and do all the things. And then we didn't do all the things prior. So we're hoping that
do it
post-kid. I'm never getting rid of our kids. When they get a little bit older,
Once they're gone.
we're still going to be young enough to
Once I give them all up for adoption.
once Shelly takes them all, then we'll be still young enough to do fun things and travel if we want to do, which is what you guys can do if you're waiting 5 years.
Yeah, we wanted to definitely travel and do things first.
Yeah, which is great.
I have a question about that.
What's that?
Did you ever feel like you guys were completely ready to have kids?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think back. I think that I felt like we were definitely at the point where we were like, okay, let's just not prevent.
Yeah.
And so I would say, yes, we were ready. And I never had the feeling of like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this now? So I would say, I think we were ready.
And Ken's really ready. For the viewers, when did you get married and when did you have a kid? Like, how many years? How long did you wait?
I always can't really remember this. I got married in 2012. Is that when we got married? 2012. That's when we graduated, right?
2013.
Okay. 2013. Is it?
Because we graduated in 2009 from high school. So we went in 2009. 2013, we graduated college.
So I got married 2013, had Nash in 2015. Almost 2 years exactly. Because we got married in July. He was born in June. So 2 years exactly. So we were married like a little over a year before I got pregnant. So we had basically 2 full years. But I also feel like when we had got married, it's not like in our heads we were like, oh my gosh, we want to do all these things. Like we didn't necessarily have all these goals to like go travel and like make sure we had like all these things that a lot of people like to have or do first. We weren't overly like passionate about. So I think that was sort of our mindset. So we felt ready to have kids. And then, I mean, it's kind of nice that we still feel like we'll be young even when the kids are at a place where we can like go back and kind of do some of the stuff that we didn't necessarily do before kids.
Was there ever a point where, when you were pregnant or when you knew you were having a kid, where you kind of were like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this? Or were you
no,
were
you like scared?
Really?
I don't feel like I was scared.
It terrifies me now
What
as a
age?
child.
I was 24 when I had Nash. Is that what you're going to ask?
Yeah. I didn't know. You're not supposed to ask a lady their, well, I guess their age right now, but.
Oh, you can ask.
When you
I'm
had a
32.
kid.
Right? I always forget. Yeah.
Wow. Didn't know your wedding date. Didn't know how old you are.
I didn't know the year, Carlie. It was July 27th.
Because I couldn't imagine having a kid right now, and
how old are you?
I'm 26 or 25. I will be 26.
Greg is 3 years older than I am, though. So he was like 27. But yeah, So I would say yes, we were ready. Yes, ready for baby number 1, 2, and 3.
And hopefully number 4.
Nope, who's the tide?
You never know.
You never know. Yeah.
I have some more questions.
Do you have for us?
Yeah. Do you want to ask her any first? I mean, Shelly, you can jump in at any point.
Oh my god!
Oh, okay.
All my answers just as well as I do.
Did you learn anything specific in like your first year of marriage?
I think that I learned. It's like honestly, it feels like a long time ago at this point. I'm trying to think back to like anything specific. I think one thing I did learn a lot is, which they always say, like communication. But I do feel
they always say it.
I do feel like communication is like huge. I feel like it took me a couple years of marriage. I was like one of those people that like I'd be like annoyed about something, hold it in, not say anything, and then I'd be like. Just like, trying to get him to pull out of me.
I feel like communication is like gets skewed because communication means expressing your feelings. Like people don't understand that that's communication. Like
So I was communicating through my feelings and I didn't realize it.
Yeah, but
it's not necessarily all verbal.
No. I'm saying people need to do that. Like they're thinking that
they think they're giving you signs.
Yeah, they think that they're communicating, but it's literally like if you feel frustrated about something, like you need to like tell them that.
Yeah.
Because they don't know that you're frustrated about X, Y, and Z. But I feel like when people are like, oh, communication is key, they think they're communicating when they're really not. But it's like literally you need to like express how you're feeling to that person.
Yes. And I think that's what I learned the most because I'm not a super good communicator, I wouldn't say. Or if like in the past, I feel like I've not been super good with conflict or I don't like to like bring things up. But I feel like it's important that you do. And the other thing is Greg is not the type to like pull stuff out of me. Like he not in a bad way. He doesn't care, but like he's not gonna be like, oh my gosh, are you okay?
He like gives
what's
you your
wrong?
Space.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, Amy, if you have a problem, like talk to me about it, kind of thing. But I think the big thing with that too is then that's where like you can get bitter about stuff. If like you hold on to it, but you're not communicating what your issue is, big or small, it kind of just like builds up over time. And I feel like there's things that I've had to communicate that I wouldn't have necessarily communicated our first couple years of marriage and have learned how important that is.
So you learned pretty fast that I mean, if you don't tell a man straight up that this is why you're mad,
they can't read your mind.
We don't see the little things you do differently because you're mad. We don't recognize that. You need to just tell us straight.
But
to
it's
the
like
face.
you try to like, slam things and like,
and we just
like
think,
slam like
it's her time.
Down. Like,
it's her time.
That's so annoying. That is so annoying.
He said it's her time.
Greg literally like can tell you on the day that I'm to start my period because he's like, but that's the worst. If I'm like annoyed about something, he's like, "Are you about to start your period?" I'm like,
it doesn't help the situation.
It's the worst because even if it is, you're like, what if it is?
Yeah,
like,
I'm just. Anyways, yes. So I would say that, and don't be afraid to say sorry.
Oh wow, that was cute. Wow.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm just saying, like, if you need to actually apologize, sweet. I feel like there's been times where I feel like I've gotten better at this too. At like, even if it's the next day, being like feeling kind of bad about something, or even if it's not that big of a deal, but just to get it off your like apologize,
Just kind of putting your pride and ego.
Yes,
to the side.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry if I offended you or if I said this. I didn't mean it this way. But blah 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 blah.
And that's kind of difference between being married and dating. It's like dating, you might not want to do that, but marriage, you're like, I'm stuck with this person.
I'm stuck.
Years
might as well make it good.
You're only 7 months in, so 7 years, according to Shelley.
A lot of time left.
Yeah. So I would say, don't be afraid to apologize and put your pride to the side.
Wow.
Pride to the side.
We're going to make a shirt that says that.
Yes.
That's
cute.
My
answer for that.
That's a good
throw in there.
Yeah. What'd you learn your first year of marriage?
Get out. Just kidding. Run. Listen to your bestie. Oh my gosh. No, I'm just kidding.
And everyone else around you.
And everyone else. Yeah.
Just put your pride to the side.
Pride to the side.
This is what I'm taking in all of your guys' advice for my marriage.
This is the other thing I've learned. This is specific to my marriage, but if it could resonate with somebody else, is if you're married to somebody who's really stubborn. Greg is a very stubborn person. He does not like being told what to do. So I feel like I've learned that you kind of do have to like pay attention to the way that people's personalities are and find ways to communicate that are not like, I like do this, because then he's like, heck no, I'm not doing that if you're telling me what to do type thing. So that's not really advice other than he can be stubborn. So I feel like I've had to learn. You really have, like, your first year, you're kind of like learning how people work, and it's like you're under more stressful situations together versus being apart. So just kind of like learning.
Yeah, that's helpful. I've already realized that with Carlie, especially coming home from work. She's usually really exhausted, and at first, my work, I don't talk to a lot of people, so I have a lot of energy at the end of the day, where Carlie talks to a lot of people. And so by the time she gets home, she just wants to kind of relax and not have to have this high energy. And so at first, I would always try to like talk with her and do that. And I could just tell that she wasn't having it. And so now, right when she walks in, I don't even acknowledge her.
Okay, you acknowledge
I acknowledge you, but I don't.
Oh, look at you.
You don't like bombard me with a bunch of
questions, or I don't like, try to be this.
That's so funny.
My goofy self, tackle you or scare you or anything like that. I just kind of let you walk in, decompress from the day. And then once you start talking with me, then I realize, okay, I'm safe.
Yeah.
Now I can,
I'm safe.
Now I can talk with her. And so just like little things like that, I feel like.
But it's basically just getting to know. And for you guys and Greg and I, we didn't live together before getting married. So that's all stuff that like in your first year of marriage, you're learning to like live with that person and adjust and
Yeah, I am guilty. I know that there's been days where I've had like long days at work, and then I have like a 30-minute commute home, and like sometimes it turns into an hour, and then I'm like real upset, and then I get home and like
Cody touches you and you're like, ugh.
I'm like, I just want to eat, shower, and go to sleep. Like, I'm sorry, but 12 hours, 12 and a half hours at the hospital, I don't really.
Sometimes you just got to get it in though, and it helps. Get it.
Carlie did not understand what you just said.
Can you specify what you mean by get it in?
Carlie's face was like,
that helps everybody.
it really helps you relax, decompress.
It does, but some nights you're just tired.
Yeah, it's hard.
Hours,
like if I do 3 12s in a row.
That's fair.
We've talked about this too. Like before being married, we didn't live together, and so I would do 3 12s in a row because I liked having like a big chunk of time off.
Yeah.
But now that we're married, if I do 3 12s, I don't see him. Like I literally see him at night, and it's for like an hour before I go to sleep. So I'm trying to like switch my schedule, like so I have a break in between.
Yeah.
So we can actually like see each other.
Yeah, that's good.
For a little bit, since he's able to work from home. So then he'll work from home when I'm there, which has been really fun.
That's good. Love that.
Yeah. What's your next question?
Well, since Ken said to, get it in, it helps.
Do you know what that means? Or
well, could you explain?
No.
Okay.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, I think we know. How do you and Greg keep it spicy in the bedroom after being married for so long and after having 3 kids?
And maybe a fourth.
Well, not a fourth, but for starters, my love language is definitely touch, physical touch. So,
I was going to say something else, but
Your love language is getting it in.
yes,
it is. Yeah. I mean, that goes under physical touch.
Yeah.
I feel like, so for me, I think that I never want to give that up because
if
I
Ken's is ever cranky, it's been a little while.
honestly.
Or it's her time.
Or I'll be one or the other.
Right.
Either way. No, I think that definitely part of it is you still have to I've realized that if you I don't know how I want to word all these things. But a couple things. Number one, I feel like it's important to always be just touchy, flirty, lovey, whatever. Because I feel like that always leads to more, reminds you that oh yeah, that we
want to be a little
on a night. Be flirty, basically. So I would say continue to be flirty and don't get too wrapped up in once you have kids. I feel like you're under a lot of stress and kids are freaking out and you're and then you get mad at each other or snap at each other. But then it's you need to remember that your relationship is completely separate from the kids. Your relationship with your kids, and so it's important to make sure that you have that kind of in a separate compartment of your.
That's a good.
Yeah,
good.
I feel like I've never heard it broken down.
Neither have I.
The
that
relationship with your kids is different than your relationship.
Yeah,
with
or
your spouse.
I feel like there's times where we're just frustrated because kids are freaking out and not listening, and so we snap at each other. But that's not really it has nothing to do with me and Greg and our relationship. Yeah. It's just a stressful time that we need to work on that too. But definitely compartmentalizing. Is that the right word? Mm-hmm. And then you have your relationship that when the kids go to bed, you're good, back at it, get it in,
back at it.
So that, and then also one thing I do feel we're really big on, I know you I think I have a question about this, but having date nights frequently. And I think that is also helpful to just kind of re-spark remembering why you're together and why you love each other. And it's good to just have that separate time because then it's you guys can connect because when you do have kids, I feel all the attention goes to them in the evening or whatever. So when you have those times to be able to sneak away and really, remember why you love each other. Typically,
and just have a conversation with each other without being interrupted.
Yeah.
Or just talk about whatever you want, go on a date, flirt.
Fall in love,
Yeah,
every day. Every day. Yeah.
Well, even these first few months, I've realized that it's so easy just to get tied up in life where you're going to work, you come home,
go through the motions.
You're doing dinner, you're going to bed, wake up, do the same thing over and over again. Weekend comes, okay, I just kind of want to relax because I was going all week. And so just continuing to date. That's when you obviously hear all the time.
And for you guys, even though you guys don't have kids, but
making
you took on coaching, which is a huge time commitment. So I feel it would be super easy for you to get in your routine, and you were doing super long days too, from work to practice, and then you have games every weekend. You're gone. You know what I mean? I feel making that a priority is super. Super.
It's definitely you have to make it a priority, and you have to make it intentional because otherwise, I feel you do just start going through the motions, and it gets easier to forget.
Yeah, and then with us right now. We live with some roommates.
Mm-hmm. Chris and Hobby.
Yeah,
who we talked about, the besties.
And so it's easy to just always just want to do something with them. Hey, we're doing something. Why not ask them?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
That's what we do with Shelly.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm dying over here. Like, oh my gosh.
It's not a bad thing.
No, and it's
obviously
always
we love
so
them.
much fun.
Yeah, and they're our best friends. But obviously, you still have to prioritize that time where, okay, let's just do something us, because that is so important. To kind of connect and
I feel like before, like, for most of our relationship, we were doing long distance.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, when we were dating, and
what do you guys have? What are your tips for long distance relationship? I'm going to flip the switch.
I mean, you both have to make an effort. I feel like we both did, a good job of, like, I would drive to you, you would drive to me, like, depending on, like, when you were in school and I was working, and then, like, you were doing school online, so you'd come and visit me. But then, like, when he was working and I was, like, had a big stretch off, I would go visit him. I feel like the effort has to go both ways.
Yeah, yeah, you can't expect someone to bend over backwards just for you. It kind of has to be a balance of, you know, some days I would work longer days Monday through Thursday, so then I could get off earlier Friday, head over, and then have a longer weekend with her. And, you know, I spent hours and hours in traffic, and I could have just completely hated that and resented her for it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, why am I doing this? You know, I definitely drove over more just because I preferred it, and it was easier with my job because it was flexible with hours. And I could have just hated her for that. And just, not hate's a strong word. Resented her and just saying, you know,
me drive.
I feel like I'm driving over every week and I'm spending this time in traffic, and just.
She's worth driving for.
Oh, yeah. She definitely made it worth it every day. But yeah, just having that balance, I think, is really important.
And I feel like at the beginning, we didn't even, like, question doing the long distance. I feel like I had somebody ask us, be like, oh, wow, did you even think about that? And I was like, honestly, no. Like, I didn't even take, like, I just liked him so much that I was like, we're going to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, and to give a background, we did, when we first started dating, we were 4.5 hours away from each other.
Which is a decent, I mean, that's a lot of hours driving.
And like over a pass. Like, it's not like
over
just
2 passes.
A quick drive,
Yeah, and so we were that, and then when I went to college, then we were 2.5 hours, which was nicer. A
little bit better.
Then I graduated, had to move back to where I was from, so then we were 4.5 again. And then after...
We were engaged at this point before you moved back over.
And then
so literally your entire relationship basically was long distance.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. We got engaged, and he moved over in, like, November, and then we got... October, and then we got married in June. So we only had like a couple months where we weren't doing long distance.
And even then we were still
not living together.
Yeah, 30 to 40 minutes away.
Yeah. Had to still put the effort in.
Yeah.
That's actually cool though. It goes to show that you can really make anything work
if both
people are willing to work for it. Because if you would have been like, I'm never driving there, like Cody still probably would have, but I mean, if you...
I'm a sucker, so to get it in.
Right.
Oh my gosh. We re-waited. Thank you very much. Had a couple slips, but we did.
Proud of you guys.
But what I was going to say was,
since
we were doing long distance, every time we were seeing each other, I feel like we were making it a priority to go out and do stuff on dates because we weren't seeing each other as often. And then when we got married, it was like, oh, we're with each other all the time. And then we're like, oh, this is great. And then we kind of like stopped making it, not like we didn't,
but it's
like
just
date.
Like you go through the emotions.
And so now we've been talking about like, we have to like really make it a priority. We think you and Greg do. I mean, you do it like every week.
We
like,
try. Do it we're pretty good about it. The hard part is like because the main thing that helps is like having a babysitter that is pretty much like scheduled to come the same time. Otherwise weeks just go by. But I feel like on average it's still like once a week, which I mean, I look forward to it, and I feel like it's definitely a good thing. And it's like, that's like my number one marriage advice, I feel like, for either. And I think it's important to like get in the habit of, even before having kids, making a priority to like go out and have a date night, even when you don't have kids. And then it continues on once you do.
And we're talking like not even like a big date night. Like if
go to dinner.
Or like
go on a walk.
Go on a walk. Like just some time, like intentional time.
Yeah, one of our goals was more date nights, and then we wanted to do 2 every month. One where we went out and spent some money and had fun, and then one was free. Where just spending time. Like we got a puzzle. You know, we were gonna do a puzzle together.
Yeah, I bought a puzzle. My mom and I went to the mall, and I was like, she's like, "Do you need anything?" I was like, "Actually, Cody mentioned he wanted to do a puzzle," and so I went and bought us one.
That's cute. That's fun. What is it of?
It's like a lake with like canoes and stuff.
Relaxing. Cute. and then you guys should like go on canoes for your date. We should do a puzzle of the date that you're going to go on.
Well, it is raining right now, but yeah, when it's in spring.
You should probably save that puzzle for the spring.
Yeah.
Or the summer. Okay, what other questions?
Yeah, I was going to say what's the next question.
Do you want to do that one?
Yeah. How do you guys work through your disagreements? I feel like that's a huge one. And this might come back to communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
they never fight.
We don't fight very much. Greg is so mellow, though. Greg is like, he never gets mad at me.
So you're always getting mad at him.
Wrong. No, I mean, I think I would say both Greg and I have pretty like mellow personalities as far as like, we really don't fight, or if there's something that we disagree on, I feel like neither of us get overly offended. And
you guys are
so level-headed.
I was going to say,
like
and you guys
sickening.
never blame each other.
No.
Like, it's not like you're like, you did. I feel like if I've ever been here and it's like high stress or something with the kids, or like one of them's doing something and they don't stop or whatever, you guys are never, like, it's never like you guys against each other.
Yeah. We're team, Shelly.
Yeah. Team. No, but you guys are always on the same team.
Be on the same team.
I feel like that's huge.
But also, I would say, I'm trying to think of like an example of some like disagreement we have had, which we've
What
had
about like the kids' school?
Okay, that's, I guess, a good one. So initially, like, I was pretty like, I want the kids to go to private school. Just this day and age, I prefer that. And nothing wrong with public school. At all. There's nothing wrong with it. But Nash went to public school his kindergarten year, and there was a couple things that bothered me. So I was like, okay, I would like them to go to private school. And Greg was very like, no, we're not sending our kids to private school. But even that, like, eventually he was like, okay, fine. Like, it wasn't really a big ordeal. Also, like, Greg doesn't really like raise his voice at me ever. Like, he's so like, I don't think anybody understands how like just mellow Greg is. And so I think that for us, I don't know if we're a great example, because I feel like we obviously have things we disagree on, but I just feel like we are able to talk through it. And it's never, there's not like something extreme that we do or that like we have to do to like get through an argument. I feel like it's kind of like, it's typically me getting mad at him for something. And then I get mad at him for not responding to what I'm saying. And then,
but I do feel like that is a huge thing in itself, is like you guys are able to work through stuff, because even when you're saying like you're getting mad, it's not like you're over here like screaming.
No, it's just more I'm like,
but no, none of you guys, like neither one of you are super extreme, and I think that's like a huge point that neither
we don't like
one
blow
of you,
up at each other.
Yeah, and that's huge, because it's like if somebody is somebody who just like blows up, the other
sometimes
person,
I drop F-bombs at him, but he just is like. He doesn't react.
Like, looks at you and
he just
like,
takes it.
Yeah. But not even. Sometimes he'll just like, if you have any sort of like extreme reaction, which extreme, it's not even that extreme, but he'll just be like, can you calm down? Like, and he says like it literally just like that. He's just like, calm down.
And then I'm like, why are you talking to me like that?
Yeah.
Don't tell me to calm down.
But I think it's because like neither one of you are super extreme. Either way.
I would say just talking through it and like not getting, like, you don't just, the thing is, there's never really a reason to like get mad at your spouse unless they're like actually doing something that is, but like a normal disagreement, like everybody disagrees on stuff. So I feel like it's, once again, just keeping in mind that you're on the same team and the goal is to like come to an agreement versus it's not you trying to win, or it's not like, you know, so I think that that's big. But yeah, I would say that we just really naturally get along pretty well, and we don't really have much. Not to say we won't at some point, but
like you said, it's like most of the arguments you get into or fights, it's not really
they're
worth
like
it.
Petty. They're like dumb, or
There's no need to, make it bigger than it actually is.
Right. Yeah. Like this morning I was like, why do you always put the mouthwash on the counter right here when I always put it back right there? And it's always like you put it back here. And he's like looking at me and he's like,
but that seems
I don't know. And I'm like,
that's valid.
Okay, well,
it's your time.
Goes right here. The mouthwash goes on this side in front of your electric toothbrush.
Oh my gosh.
So stuff like that.
I feel like you guys do really well is you guys do a pretty good job of equally compromising. So like if, like, this is totally an example, and like there's other things, but
this is a true story.
Well, I mean, yeah, but not specifically. But like, if Greg goes to like watch the game with the boys or something or whatever, then it's like a couple nights later or whatever, like you and I'll go to dinner. Or I don't know, like I feel like you guys do pretty good at compromising.
Yeah.
Too.
I think we're getting better at that.
Yeah. And that's just like one example. Like there's obviously other ways to compromise besides time. But like I feel like you guys do a pretty good job of like doing that for each other.
Yeah, we try, you know. Yeah, it's great.
Something I heard on a podcast that really stuck with me is like
the Effortless podcast or a different one?
No, a different one. Not as good as the Effortless podcast, but
it's great.
They were just saying how you're gonna have to accept that in life there's gonna be times where, you know, me as the guy is gonna have to do 60 to 70% of the work, and maybe Carlie's not working as hard. You know?
Yeah,
I'm doing more, but being fine with that, like a balance where. Okay, then, you know, maybe 5 years down the road, it kind of switches where I'm busier, you know, I'm coaching, I'm working, I'm doing that. Carlie's going to have to take on more responsibility where it's not always going to be 50-50, but being fine with that.
Well, and even huge. I think once you have kids, like that changes a little bit too. Like for us, Greg never got up in the middle of the night with our kids, but he's like, there's nothing I can, and I know that like a lot of husbands do, which is great. More power to them. But, she's not bitter at all.
Not at all.
No, but I actually am serious on this one. Is I was breastfeeding, so it's like there's no point for Greg to get up in the middle, or like why would he get up in the middle of the night when the baby just wants meat? Or doesn't even make sense. But which doesn't mean that like that's great if the guy wants to. Love that for him.
The guy can breastfeed
or bottle feed, whatever it is. But like that, it's more an example of like during that stage of life, like you feel like I feel like I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing so much, which he was obviously providing. So, but it's like it does go different ways, and then even along with that, which I think I talked about last season when we talked about like our relationship stuff, is just like. Goes into like some marriage, just overall marriage advice is like really being okay and open to like your spouse changing, because I feel like we're both different than we were when we got married or we're dating, but not like, I mean, obviously not in ways that are like detrimental to our marriage, but like in general, like you just change and your values even change and like things that are important to you, and being able to change with them or like be open to them. And like after having kids, I feel like I changed a lot, and that's just natural, and not being like, you're different now. You know, like you adapt and grow together.
Yeah, and that's something you should want. I mean, if you're both, you know, growth minded, you don't want to be the same person you were when you started dating. Or
can you just take over the podcast now? You've got some great
growth minded. Love
we
that.
can talk about salary after this.
Oh my God.
But yeah, you know, you don't want to be the same person you guys were when you were dating.
Yeah, and you shouldn't expect your spouse to be the same person.
No, you'd want to, you'd want to grow with them and, you know, both kind of form into the person that you are.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Love that.
Do you have any other questions?
Are you falling deeper and deeper in love with Cody as he's podcasting?
Or are you wanting to get out?
No.
Or get in?
Yeah.
I was just
actually. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh.
While we got you here, you know.
Yeah, while you're here. Wow. You guys have talked about love languages on here like multiple times. Do you feel like yours and Greg's love languages, like your top 3, let's say, have like changed to what the other person's top ones are? Like mine is, like my top one is definitely physical touch. And when we first started dating, we talked about it, and he's like, yeah, I was like in his top like 3 or 4.
So like
and now like top 8.
Top 4, top 8, yeah.
But now he says it's like higher on his just because it's higher on mine, because I'm like always touching him.
Like, do you feel like yours, it's changing more to that because you've realized how much you like being touched by Carlie? Or
you know she likes it.
Or she likes it, so you naturally love her, so you love her love language?
I feel like it's more she loves it. Like I've kind of had to accept it where...
Accept it?
Well, not accept it, but it brings her so much
like
joy and happiness, and like this
you.
is something she needs as kind of like a reassurance, and so being okay with it, I feel like that's become huge, and just accepting it more, and so that's kind of it's become.
What's yours?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's yours?
Mine's is words of affirmation.
That's
He's like,
fitting.
Questionable.
Still not sure. Still figuring it out who I am. Still growing as a person.
There you go. You're not set to a specific love language.
Yeah, you can't tie me down, but. But yeah, it's definitely, since it's something that means so much to her, it's become a huge part of like what I do now. And I try to go out of my way to if she's not as affectionate right now, I kind of go out of my way to, hold her hand or give her a massage or little things like that.
Nice. Greg told me he doesn't do massages the other days.
One of my favorite things
or flowers
about...
But he is a great guy.
Wow.
Great guy. Love great guy.
Very level-headed.
Yeah.
He doesn't blow up, though.
He doesn't blow up, which is very important.
No, I was going to say one of the things that I love so much about Cody is like if we're waiting in line at the grocery store or like anything, he'll just like start rubbing my back. Like nothing like cute. Intense. It's just like one hand, just like, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Some people might think it's gross in the grocery store.
But it's not
get
like
a hotel room.
Well, it's not like too much PDA. It's not like we're just like
enough to like make each other.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking out like the
Although
the
you guys
lotion
were like
or
making
anything.
out. You guys were like making out at Jovi's 3rd birthday party today, so that's a little much.
Frankie,
I mean, just with all the kids around, you kind of get
it's a little distracting. So I'm just
Frankie
kidding.
kept telling us we couldn't kiss.
See,
so
Frankie is like she keeps being like they keep thinking it's like funny when Greg and I kiss, and they like laugh. But then Frankie's also like, ew, it's like so gross.
I know. I kept telling her, I'm like, you're gonna want to kiss a boy someday, and she's like, no, I'm not. And I was like, you will.
Well, one thing I will say I definitely appreciate about Greg that it just made me think of it because we were naming all these things that he doesn't do, which is like, or I mean, like he's like not in a
things he has to work on.
No, my point is that he might not do all these like random little things, but I will say that stuff means nothing to me because I feel like I trust Greg so much and I know that like he really cares about me and I know that he's like such a great guy that loyal. I feel like I would rather take not all this like extra getting flowers all the time and oiled massages.
Not that you wouldn't take that,
but yes. That's like what does like that doesn't matter. What truly is important, he is very good at. So I just had to throw that in because I feel like it sounded as though we were like, he doesn't do this. But
Well, I feel like that's huge nowadays too, just with
social media.
Yeah. And, so many dating websites and apps and things out there. I mean, there's so many choices. A lot of people are having trouble with, how do I choose one when there's so many, this person has this, but this person does this. And, it's like, I don't want to just settle. People think they're just settling. Right. But, I mean, it's not like, there's no perfect person out there that you're gonna have disagreements and things like that, but being fine with that and realizing their strengths are way more important than the few weaknesses they have.
Right. Yes.
Carlie doesn't have any, but
I mean,
right, because you found the very few.
I don't have many cons.
Not many cons. Many more pros.
My cons list is real short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least the one I show her.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Greg doesn't wear a ring because it like.
I'm not wearing my ring or anything.
I was gonna say I didn't know. I was.
Oh, well, no, I was making meatballs. And I didn't want
getting it in.
Is that code?
No, it was not. I didn't want the meat to get in my ring, like raw meat in my ring, like disgusting. Sick. So I took my ring off, and then I guess I've never put it back on.
How long ago was that? A couple months or
no? It was like a couple days ago. Greg does not wear a ring.
Yeah, but did he ever wear a ring?
Yeah, he's not against wearing a ring. It's just that he had like one of the
it
dark grays
him,
and like irritated his skin, and then he got like one of the rubber ones, and he felt like his fingers getting like moldy, not moldy, but like it would get wet, and then it would sit under it. Yeah. So he doesn't wear one, but he is not completely against getting like an M.
Oh, that'd be cute.
Tattooed on his finger. I'm really for it. Or he said he maybe would get a different ring.
Or W for win.
Win because he won.
Yeah,
me. Yeah,
marrying you.
Right. That's good too.
Sorry,
that was
good one. Dad joke.
Not even just practicing.
Has he ever, when he did wear it, did he ever lose his ring?
No. Have you ever lost your ring or anything? Or
no, I've misplaced it for like 24 hours.
Over 24 hours.
Losing it is
in the ocean.
Well, yeah, but losing it is never you don't find it.
Let's go into this story.
He knew where he put it.
We don't have to. Well, yeah.
No, let's go into it. It's a good one.
Well, we can
on the
if we have
honeymoon.
time.
Yeah.
If we don't have time, we don't have time.
Let's get into it.
Okay. Well, we can dive into it.
Carlie's not bitter about it at all, so she's working.
No,
not at all.
On our honeymoon, we were in the resort, And I wanted to go snorkeling because that's all I wanted to do on our honeymoon was just be away from her and go snorkel.
My God.
Fish.
No, she wanted to read. I wanted to snorkel. So I was heading out, and I thought before I headed out, okay, I should take my ring off because I don't want to lose it in the ocean.
That's smart.
So I had the right intention.
Right.
For some reason, I blacked out.
You're wasted.
I can't remember. I remember taking it off my finger, and I was going to put it down. But then I can't remember what I did after that. I can't remember if I put it back on, if I put it in my pocket, or if
Were you drunk?
No.
No. He he just like couldn't remember what he did with it.
I don't have that great of a memory.
That was not a great way to
it's
say
not like
it.
I blacked out because of alcohol. No,
Like,
I was.
and then you went swimming.
Yeah, no, I was completely sober. I
just cannot remember
I can't
where he
remember
put it.
what I
Okay.
did because I remember taking it off so
remember that
clearly,
part. Yeah.
but I can't remember what I did after it. So I went snorkeling, and everything went good. And I got back to
Saw some turtles.
stingray, one or two.
Shark. Yeah.
There's an angelfish.
Cute.
It was really cool.
And so I got back, and we were getting ready for dinner. And Carlie said, "Okay, let's put our rings on for dinner because we were keeping them in the safe."
Time to put
Yeah,
our
we
rings
were
on.
just
Okay. Then.
like because we were going out in the ocean, like we'd
So
leave
we
it
were
in the safe.
Yeah, we'd keep it in the safe. So we're like, okay, let's put it on for dinner. And I can't find mine. I'm looking around. It's nowhere. The huts, they didn't have very good lighting.
And like the floors were dark, and his ring
Yeah.
is black.
Yeah.
So-
And so I looked around for a little bit, couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, let's just wait till tomorrow when it's brighter and I can find it. So
Like
went
they
to-
would come in and clean our room.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, maybe they'll like sweep and like.
I was like, it couldn't
find
go
it.
too
collect
far.
it.
I mean, our hut was like
Calling it a hut. It was
300 square feet. I mean, it
Right.
wasn't very big. So I was like, okay, we can find it in the morning. Wake up, look for it, can't find it. Talk to the cleaning person because they were just in there. They didn't see it.
You go down below.
I go down
like-
below because I took it off when I was on the deck and it has cracks. So I was like, okay, maybe I dropped it. It fell down.
Yeah.
Looked down there, couldn't find it. Had someone help me look for it, couldn't find it. At this point, I was getting a little more nervous.
Like looking in the gym, we're looking like all over the resort.
There's
at
not
this
too many
point.
places where I mean,
It's not a
could've
huge
gone.
resort. Like this
No.
was like a smaller place.
And so at this point, I was like, okay,
It's gone.
it's probably gone. And
It's been nice.
It was like
married.
super windy and like every night it would storm. So it was like raining,
Well,
windy.
I went
like,
back to
all
the
night.
beach because I was like, okay, maybe I did put it in my pocket or something. And I put all my stuff down in one area. So I looked there and
Yeah.
it wasn't there. And so I was like, okay. I didn't think that, I put it back on and it's somewhere in the ocean. I was just like, okay, probably I put it on the beach or something.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. And so later that day, it had probably been like 24 hours. And yeah, the past night, it had been rainy, stormy, waves were kicking, things like that. And
Kicking.
you get it.
We
and
get
so-
the idea.
I'm snorkeling again, and I remembered yesterday I found this really cool shell,
Oh my gosh.
and I didn't take it out because I want to be respectful, so I kept it in the ocean. But I was like, okay, I want to try to find.
in the shell.
No, it wasn't in the shell.
Oh.
But I was looking for the shell. I was like, let's see if I can find this same shell that I saw yesterday. So I was looking around,
I didn't know this is okay. Continue.
and I see this little black circle in the sand.
Oh my
in the
gosh.
water.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
I
probably
didn't know
like
that
10
that's-
feet offshore. And so I'm looking, I'm like, what is that black thing? And I pull it up and it's my ring.
That's crazy.
That
I
is
didn't
crazy.
actually realize
It was
that's how
like
it happened.
insane. I was reading in like,
He's, like,
the little like
freaking out.
cabana that was like
Yeah.
close, and he like comes up and he's like, "What are you reading?" and like shows me his hand. I was like, "Where in
Did
the
you
f
find
did you
it?
find this?"
in the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah,
Literally.
so it survived 24 hours in the ocean
After a storm,
after a stormy
like,
night.
Wow.
And it was just buried
Wow.
under a little bit of sand. Like it was a little buried, but I could still see just the black.
That's crazy.
And like the
outline.
night before, like we were praying before we were going to bed, and we're like, God, like you literally are the only person, like,
I don't
like
find
you're the
the ring.
only like that knows where this ring is.
Yeah.
Like, please help us find
Yeah.
it. And we're like, he came over, and I was like, you have some thinking to do because
That's
like
crazy that you
yeah,
found that,
wow.
honestly.
Yeah, so I found it. We get back from the honeymoon. We go to one of our friends' places to hang out. And again, we're swimming, so I take my ring off. So I just can't go swimming anymore. But no, so I take my ring off and we're getting ready to pack up the next day and leave. And Carlie calls me into the room, but she says it in that voice where oh, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Cody, come in this room. So I knew I did something wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew.
You knew.
And so I walk in there, and she's like, "Where's your ring?" I was like, "Oh, it's on my bag." And
after
She's like,
we
is
had
it,
already
though?
packed.
Is it?
yeah,
Like
And so I
the
look at-
bags were packed.
yeah, so I look at my bag, it's not there. And she's like, "Well, it's right here." And on this vent. You know how it has like the
on the ground.
On the ground, and it has the slits.
Balancing. Like it was about to fall in the vent. It's like balancing on the vent.
You left it there to call him in to show him?
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it could have risked it falling through just to prove a point.
She's so petty.
Yeah. You have to put your pettiness aside.
I know.
Petty,
I
pet to the
Well, it was just funny. It was like you could see the bottom of the vent. It wasn't like one of the deep ones. Like
So it
you
would have
could
been
see
fine.
it.
So she was being dramatic.
She overreacted.
I was being
sure.
Yeah.
dramatic. But
Poor Cody.
it was literally like it was just so funny because it was like we got back from our honeymoon and then went there the next weekend. So it was still fresh from when he found it in the ocean.
So ever since that, I haven't lost it, and I pretty much just don't take it off. Because if I take it off, I'm not going to remember where it's going.
It's a sign. Your marriage can
But
stand
still have
through
the
the
original
storms.
ring.
Yeah.
Going strong.
And I knew it wasn't like that big of a deal, but I was like kind of sad. Like on the honeymoon, I was like, it literally doesn't like we'll just get him a new one.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, we hadn't even been married a week at that point.
We started off strong. We'll see if we last.
It was like day six of our marriage.
It's a sign for your future life.
Yeah.
You're going to survive all this.
We're going to weather the storm.
I mean, if we can beat that, if we can beat the ocean,
What can't we beat?
Ocean.
just us versus the world.
There you go.
Gosh. It's really sweet. Let's wait to make out till later. What's the last question?
The last
We're going to
one.
be making out in your place.
Yeah, we're staying with you in your bed. So, payback from.
I did not have sex in your bed.
That is such a lie.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Some things I told you I cleaned my sheets the night before.
She never verified if what you did or didn't do.
Ken's
Anyway, if you guys haven't listened, that was back in season 1.
Talking about firefighter.
Firefighter number 2. If you haven't listened, go check out that episode. But fun fact, I found out what Shelly did listening to the podcast.
Well, you don't know what she did.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Anyway, back to the questions. I'm not petty about that either.
I think that Carlie needs to work on her pettiness in the marriage, it sounds like.
It's definitely one of her cons. It's on the con list.
I'm kidding.
Do you and Greg have any fun like anniversary traditions?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
You answered that really fast.
No, I feel like we are like, we don't really have any specific traditions at all. I feel like we're not really that type.
You guys didn't have a videographer, right?
No, biggest regret of my wedding.
Oh, wow.
I would say.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But
we all have.
You're not petty about that.
No, I am actually a little bit upset about that. That is probably that's for sure the biggest regret of my wedding is not having a videographer.
You can always do a reenactment, like the Civil War.
You should. Would you ever renew your vows?
I would. I don't know if Greg would be into it though.
10 years.
Yeah,
Or just do
it's
another
already been 10 years.
reception.
Yeah.
I'll be the flower girl.
The flower girl?
Yeah.
Perfect. Throwing little petals. No, I don't know if we would. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed, but
I mean, it doesn't have to be like a big thing. It would just be like a fun like party.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe
Okay,
20.
final question to wrap all this up. Both of you guys are married. So, talking
Let's
to
hear
a
it.
single person.
Like myself.
Are you
myself. Yes, I'm single. I don't know if you know that. What one piece of advice would you give to somebody if like while dating? Like, is there something to either like weed people out or like to know if they're like the one, or how did you know that they were the one, or like is there any like one nugget of advice
You guys go first. I'm still thinking.
that you would give?
I would say don't settle or don't bring what you want down to like fit the person that you're dating. Like the right person is going to be right for you, and you're not going to have to change anything about like what you believe or like anything like that.
That's good. Okay. Thank you.
Cody, let's hear what you got.
Ooh,
Ken's is just going to copy your answer. That's what she's asking.
yeah, I feel like she is.
What he said.
Ditto.
No, my biggest thing is it definitely feels a little different when, you know, it's that person that you're going to marry.
From the
What
beginning.
feels different?
I feel like
A body part or
getting it in. No. I feel like
you thought that was so funny.
Okay, I'm done. I quit.
I feel like it's what was easier is just like, I mean, it kind of just comes naturally where I've had relationships where it's kind of rough getting, you know, through every day, or Not every day. Wow, that sounds
like
awful.
it feels like more work. Like it feels more like
a lot more effort.
Or you feel like you're changing yourself for that person.
Or that you
and that's
have
kind of
to
what
change yourself. Yeah.
comes back to like what Carlie was saying. Or like the fights they prolong. You know, these fights, they just kind of never end. They always come back. They always come up. It doesn't feel like, you know, you're working as a team. It doesn't feel like you're working for the future. It's kind of just more of like a battle. And with Carlie, I feel like when we were first dating, you know, everything kind of just came naturally, kind of smoothly. I wasn't, you know, having to work really hard. That kind of sounds, I don't know if that sounds
like it was just more organic.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. It just kind of, comes naturally. And that was something huge. But then, like I was saying prior, was just, there's so many options out there. You know, if it feels right, don't be second guessing. You know, don't be scared of that commitment, because some people were saying, you know, we're so young, you know. And for me, I really only dated one other person pretty seriously before Carlie. And so I had a lot of friends that were saying, why not keep, this is your first time single in like 5-6 years since like high school. Yeah. Why not continue to date? Don't you want to live that life and, you know, see what's out there and, you know, test the waters? But, I definitely would have been more open to that if I didn't meet Carlie right away.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh yeah, that's probably something I want to do, but I don't want to give up my chance that I have with Carlie and lose something so amazing because I'm playing the what if game. You know, what if there is something better out there? Because the grass is not always greener, and you know, maybe the perfect person is right in front of me. And so being confident in that.
Where are all these options?
You'll get there.
Like, I'm sitting on some dirt right now, so where's the grass?
Yeah, where is the grass to water? Cause
you're in the desert.
I'm in the Sahara. Good Lord.
But yeah, just being confident in trusting yourself and not, you know, always second guessing and playing the what if game, because there is so many options out there today.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
Ditto.
I think that's good advice.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. My thing is like, especially, I would say one thing would be just trusting. If you can
trusting what?
Everything.
No,
just trust.
No. I feel like
Capital
if you have
T.
any questions about if the person is trustworthy,
that's a big one.
Cut them out. Because you have to be able to like trust who you're with, and that's like that, like being, if you fully trust, which everybody makes mistakes, but like if you fully trust the person that you're with, I feel like it just saves you so much, like, you know, worry.
Because even if there's like that little hesitation in there, that's always going to be there, and you're always going to go back to that.
And you know the feeling of like, I don't trust somebody, and how like bad, like that, just like bad feeling, stomach feels like whatever, like that's the worst feeling ever. So I feel like, and I feel like you can tell like if somebody's being truthful or not, but then also just like not rushing anything to really find out like the real character of them, the person you're dating, you know.
Oh, great. Thanks, guys.
And one more thing,
can't wait,
is just like definitely like see, like when you are dating somebody, really, what am I trying to say?
Intentionally date them?
No, well, that too, but like really weighing the like, are they doing things that are actually really important in life, or are they just doing things that like, it's cool that they have a Maserati, for instance, or something rare, like a G-Wagon or whatever, but like that's not gonna like last forever, or you know what I mean, like really focusing on like the value of the person as a person, and like what they're gonna like prove to you, and
not the things that they own or the things they're gonna give you.
Thank you. I sound just like so dumb right now, but my point is, it's like it's been a long day. I had a whole weekend of birthday partying for the 3-year-old.
It was really fun,
but just like keeping in mind what's important in life, you know. So that was a long answer, and I'm just going to say what Cody said because his answer was really good.
It was good.
Thanks, guys, for being on the podcast, and I feel like you guys have a really great future ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are so cute.
I know.
And it's
that, or we're going to be like divorced in 2 months.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, it's one or the other.
One or the 2 months.
2 months.
Wow. Just kidding. But no, Yeah, thank you guys.
Just kidding.
Thank you guys for having us on the
Yeah,
pod.
Yeah, this was fun.
I'm so happy you're here.
Huh?
I'm so happy they were here.
What was that? One more
Too
time.
much
One
wine.
more time. I'm sorry they're here. Sorry. Next week I'm talking about my life.
All the options I apparently have.
In the desert.
Good
Oh my gosh, I'm just kidding. Love you so much. Yeah, well, everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week on the Effortless Podcast.